talking about walking soccer. It's having a moment, and not just internationally. Here in Canada, do you know there's a World Cup of walking soccer? Yes, there is, and Canada is going to be represented there. Walking soccer seems to me to be being driven by the same phenomena that created pickleball and has now made pickleball an international sensation, where they're putting courts in all over the place. They have them on cruise ships now. Maybe walking soccer is the next pickleball. Here to tell us more about walking soccer, Bilal Sami, co-founder and director of the Canada Walking Soccer Association. Bilal, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Tell us what walking soccer is fundamentally.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like, ultimately. It's soccer, but with a couple of key rule changes. Obviously, you're not allowed to run. You have to have at least 1 foot on the ground at all times. It sounds very easy, but trust me, for those of us who have played it, it completely changes how the game is played. It's designed for people with, mobility issues or people who are slightly older, but really it's for everybody. I'm in my late 20s now, but even for myself, when I play walking soccer, it really is just as intense of a workout as running soccer or any other sport as well. But with walking soccer, there's still strategy, there's still teamwork. It's a very competitive atmosphere, but it's very welcoming and it's very inclusive. And like you said, it's gaining popularity very fast.
What drew you to it as a young person?
I think that there were a couple of factors. Myself and some of the co-founders, having worked with people who are a little bit older as well, and as avid soccer fans ourselves, we kind of stumbled across it in our research and kind of learning about the benefits of walking soccer. And we took it from there to kind of see if there was a way that we could help develop what was already a growing sport in Canada, because for us as well, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, we want to make sure that we have the infrastructure set up so that we can also enjoy the game throughout our entire lives. But I really do think there's a big benefit societally, rather than just for ourselves in the future.
Does it use the same size field?
So typically we use a 7-a-side field. Walking soccer is played. There's a couple of different rule sets, but typically it is played 6 or 7 aside, including a goalkeeper. The size of the nets are a bit smaller, and the size of the goalkeeper's box as well is smaller. But usually you use a 7-a-side field. Is that
the kind that you often see little kids playing on?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So you'll see it. Honestly in a lot of public parks. I've noticed as well that the full 11-a-side fields with the big goals aren't as prominent as they used to be. But yeah, walking soccer fields are very, very accessible because, as you said, they're used in a lot of recreational activities already.
You mentioned that having to walk while playing soccer changes the game,
Yes.
And changes, I guess, how the players have to think about the game. How does it change the game?
So you have to be a lot more clinical about things, because one stray pass and you can't make a sprint to recover it. We're also a little bit more careful about tackles and tackling from behind. That's a no-no. So if you're going to go reach in to try and get the ball, again, you have to be very calculated about your movements, making sure that you're taking care not to commit a foul in the meantime. And additionally as well, when you only have so much time on the ball, sometimes we have a touch limit, so maybe you can only take 2 or 3 touches at a time. You have to think very carefully about what your next move is going to be, because you can't necessarily rely on your physicality to kind of make up for your mistakes.
That is very challenging. It's more of a heads-up play, I'm guessing.
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely a heads-up play. As you mentioned, we already participated in the first FIWFA World Nations Cup in 2023. This year in 2025, the next tournament is going to be put on, and there are some very, very talented people playing. We have ex-professionals, some former semi-professionals, and now as well, because the infrastructure is improving, we have very good coaches, especially here in Canada as well. We have great coaches. We have fantastic players. And every time that I've been out to see a practice, I've always been very, very impressed myself.
I went onto your website and took a look for programs here in Quebec, and I was kind of disappointed because there is one in Blainville, which is north of the island of Montreal. There's one in the Lanaudière region, which is north and east of the island of Montreal, and there's one in Sherbrooke in the Eastern Township, so that's south and east of Montreal. I'm waiting for one on the island of Montreal. Do you just have to wait for an enthusiast to come forward, or are you reaching out to municipalities to talk to them about walking soccer? How do you plant walking soccer?
Yeah, honestly, it's a combination of both. What we love is that we see a lot of enthusiasm. Like you said, we see a lot of very excited participants who want to get involved, but the number of people who are kind of willing to take on the responsibility of securing field space and trying to get the word out as much as we can help, because we aren't there in person. It can be difficult, especially at this time with resources kind of stretched with the World Nations Cup coming up. But what we do recommend to people is if somebody's interested in setting up a program, we do everything we can to help them, like I mentioned, find a place to play, put the word out. We also have a list of people who have expressed interest in playing in different parts of Canada, all across the country. And when we have a large enough group, we try to put those people in contact with each other so that they can themselves as well, have some partners to help go out, find resources, find the field, and ultimately just find players to play the beautiful game. So the problem with big cities, as you mentioned, is that because they're so large, people don't necessarily want to commit to traveling very far. So you end up with a couple of smaller programs, but it would be amazing in every town, every city to have walking soccer accessible for all.
I guess eventually, too, if you're not playing just pickup games, you're going to need refs who are, specially trained refs. Do you get any disputes over you were running? No, I wasn't running. Does that happen?
Yeah, it's probably the most common dispute that happens. To your point about refereeing, there is a very different, rule set for walking soccer. For example, the ball isn't allowed to travel above head height. If you kick the ball above somebody's head, because there's no headers, that's a foul. So you basically take a free kick. A regular soccer ref is not going to pick up on that. But again, soccer refs that have more experience with walking soccer or walking football would be able to spot that. But yes, you're right. If you go to any pickup game, or if you go to even in the international tournaments, the dispute over what is running versus what is walking versus what is speed walking is heavily debated, and it's always a spirited but friendly debate. Hopefully, in the end.
Do a lot of the players use that kind of hip wagging speed walking that you often see in competitive speed walkers, or do they just walk normally?
No, it's exactly what you would expect. It's the the arms pumping and the legs going, and it really does. As somebody who's played running soccer for all my life, the first 2 times that I played walking soccer, I took a couple of days to recover because my knees really just weren't used to that action, and like you said, my hips as well. So like I said, it's a workout in its own right, and it definitely that's why there are so many health benefits as well.
Do you have a rule book at your website?
We do, yes. We have a recreational rule set, and we also have a competitive rule set. The competitive rule set is one that we've pulled from the Walking Football Association in England and the FIWFA, which is the international body. But of course, as it develops and if things change, then we make sure to keep that updated. But because it's still a developing sport and there's a lot of recreational players, we also have a recreational rule book for people who just want to pick up and play without thinking too much about it.
Bilal, give us your website.
It's walkingsoccercanada.com.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate the interview.
Thank you very much for having us.
Bilal Sami, co-founder and director of the Canada Walking Soccer Association.